Am I the a-hole for throwing my ex's words in his affair partner wife's face after she spent the last 5 years taunting me? I 33F found out my ex-husband 35M and the father of my two kids 11 and 9 was cheating on me with Dana 30F who he worked with. Once I kicked my ex out, he did everything to try and win me back. He even shared the fact Dana was sterile and was just some safe fun because he knew he couldn't get her pregnant. He said he would never actually want something not someone like that and he loved me and our kids. I was having none of it. I didn't pity Dana either because she knew about me. We had met. She knew about the kids too. So to me, she was a homewrecker and I wasn't going to warn her about my ex's feelings on her. My ex continued trying to win me back throughout our divorce. The night before, he sent more texts begging me to call it all off and let us be a family again, and he said more degrading things about Dana. But I didn't listen to him. I was done. Even if he wasn't living with Dana, which he was, I wasn't going to buy he'd change. From the day my ex moved in with Dana, she was smug. She called me all dried up, said my PSI clearly wasn't tight enough anymore for my ex, and that he clearly felt repulsed by whatever stretch marks the kids left behind. I ignored her. She got herself kicked out of the kids' school a few times for using that language in front of others. Twice was in front of one of the teachers during PT conferences. For years, I have ignored it and tried to be the bigger person. But recently, she was extra nasty about me and the fact I've been single since the divorce. She tried to say it was clear no man wanted me, not even the father of my children, and how he thought so little of me. She said he only says nothing because of the kids, but she knows. She knows that's why he went to her. So in response, I screenshotted several of the texts ex sent me where he degraded her, and I told she should see what he thinks of her. She told me I was sick and twisted, and how dare I dig into her infertility. Then it was, why would I not tell her if any of this were true? I told her I owed her arse nothing after she knowingly slept with the man I was married to and contributed to the breakup of my children's family. I told her I found her as disgusting and repulsive as him. But I had done my best to ignore her all these years while she degraded me. Then I told her to look inside her house for all that nasty crap and reminded her to check the dates on the messages. She texted me several times in the aftermath. I muted her can't block while they're together because she could be with my kids in an emergency and the court order states we must keep this access open. So now the plan is to unmute whenever the kids are over there and mute the second they come home to me. But am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole most certainly got what she was repeatedly asking for. You just gave her the truth. She gets to live with it and deal with it. Opie replies, I'm sure she's devastated now that the cheater turned out to be a disgusting person and she's stuck married to him and will probably stay for at least a while because she doesn't want me to win even though he's no prize. But hey, she's always known how she feels, so that's great. Absolutely not the a-hole. If she wants to fight dirty, she'd be foolish not to expect some of it in return. She's pretending she doesn't believe you, but at the very least, you've planted the seed of doubt. Deep down, she knows that your ex would go running back to you if you gave him half a chance. Wouldn't hurt to remind her of that next time she gets nasty and then remind her that she's welcome to your sloppy seconds. That's all she's good for anyway. Opie replies, she believes them even if she doesn't want to, and she knows I know that. How could she not when nobody else would know to tell me the stuff he did? Medical info about her too. But whether she acts on it or not is up to her. I wonder if she'll stay if the next mistress is fertile and can give him more babies. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to give me my money back after her husband made fun of my wife's scars? My sister had borrowed money from me almost a year ago for her husband's surgery and healthcare. They couldn't afford it, so when my sister asked me for financial help, I was hesitant, but I helped her because she's my sister and helping her husband would mean helping her as well. I told her back then that I am hesitating, but I will help she said she'll return the money in 3 months, but she didn't, and I didn't ask her either. So now I brought it up again. I wasn't planning on asking to return the money, but her husband made fun of my wife's scars. My wife has small scars on her hand. It's not serious, just small scars she inflicted on herself when she was 15. I was with her back then and put a stop to it. We are 27 both, and my brother-in-law made fun of my wife when he asked her if she's still childish and asked her to cover up her hands because it's unpleasant for everyone. Both of our families were speechless and my wife was as well. I said when we are young, we do dumb crap, and he's too drunk, so he should just shut up. He got a bit more aggressive and said that it's still unpleasant and my wife should cover up. I retaliated in my anger and told him that my wife will start covering her scars when he gives me my money back. TBH, I get angry easily and I wanted to insult him. My wife was holding me to stop, but I told her to shut up. I ended up telling him that he's a poor man and weak who couldn't even afford his own surgery and had his wife beg for money to her brother. He got even more angry and he said he will give me my money. I said, do it right now, but you can't because you can't even walk properly. Our families were interfering and my sister was crying. I shut my mouth because I didn't want my sister to cry. Since then, my sister is asking me to apologize because I hurt his ego and he's in foul mood and depressed. I told my sister that I will never apologize and he needs to apologize to my wife, and I asked her that both of them owe me money and I want it back as soon as possible, and I don't care if they are poor. Update. It's an update for those who don't want to read my previous post. My wife has some small self-harm scars from her childhood, and my brother-in-law insulted my wife and asked her to cover them up, and when I couldn't tolerate the disrespect, I asked him to give me the money I lent him for his surgery and healthcare. After my brother-in-law insulted my wife and asked her to cover her scars, I wanted him to pay me my money back as soon as possible. My brother-in-law and my sister said they'll give me my money back in 3 months, and it's been a year and still they didn't. My wife told me today that my brother-in-law called her and he apologized to her, so I shouldn't ask for money because they can't afford it and I should forgive them. I told my wife that he's taking advantage of your kindness and he apologized to you because he can't afford to pay, and he insulted you in front of everyone and we deserve a public apology, and my wife said that she's forgiven him and doesn't want the money back and they need that money more than us. I told her to stay away from this and let me do my thing. I will ask them again and again until they pay, but my wife said she doesn't want to and I shouldn't either, and I should be the bigger person after brother-in-law apologized and she's forgiven him. Actually, I don't care if I get my money back. I am just using it to get back at him. I want to humiliate him just like he humiliated my wife in front of our families, but my wife doesn't want that. So am I a-hole if I ask for my money and go behind my wife's back? They should pay you back because you let them borrow from the kindness of your hearts. I totally get where you're coming from, but the family drama is probably stressing your wife out. I think her mental health/happiness is more priority than humiliation. The humiliation could also make her feel guilty even though it's not her doing, but technically it's because of her. Love that you're defending her though. BTW, your sister's husband is the a-hole. I mean, there's 2 avenues of thought here. While your wife has forgiven him, you don't have to, and are well within your right to do so. Is this situation worth putting you at odds with your wife? You could just let it go to appease your wife and then keep him at arm's length and low contact from now on. Next story. Am I the a-hole for going no contact with my dad and siblings after a big fight where I accuse them of replacing mom because they want to be taken care of? 6 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with a rare form of stomach cancer. I, 22M, was 16 at the time and the only one who stepped up to take care of her until she died. My dad tried to talk her into carrying on as normal and take care of everything and everyone because he didn't think he could. He gets so mad at mom for being too tired or too sore and stiff to get out of bed. He always made excuses to not drive her to chemo and other medical appointments. He broke down sobbing when she went for surgery, and not because he was so scared of losing her. It was because he didn't want to handle everything while she was out of commission. And he even asked if they couldn't figure out ways to treat her where she could be normal. In the final 3 months of her life, she was bedbound, and he was either at work or he was sitting around the house complaining about how nothing was done. My brother was 15 and my sister was 13 at the time. So it wasn't like they could do a whole lot, which I get. And they were kids too, so it shouldn't have been on them. But they complained about not having the same food when mom was healthy. They used to ask her why she didn't make them their favorite snacks and everything. She could be puking up her guts or unable to move in bed, and they wanted more from her. They were always getting mad at me for not keeping things like they were before. Then they'd accuse me of hogging mom, but wouldn't go and sit with her. Whenever I tried to let them talk to me, they'd complain about all the stuff they hated me for and would still say I was taking away their time with mom. The last thing my brother said to her was why couldn't she get out of bed to make him a birthday cake early so he'd have one last mom-made birthday cake, and it wasn't his birthday, hence the early comment. After mom died, everyone was having a crappy time, and I got crap for having one too. They would yell at me for pulling away from them. They yelled at me for dropping out of school to get a job where I was doing instead of sitting and learning, for not taking care of them, and for telling them to F off. But dad could lose his job, could get drunk and sleep around, and that was fine. He could bring random women over and F them within weeks of mom dying, but F me. My brother could get into fights in school where he almost had criminal charges brought against him. He could literally steal from everyone to pawn it, and he could even steal some of mom's things to pawn, but that was also fine. Oh, and he got suspended twice and was so close to expulsion. My sister could smash stuff, bully her friends and other kids at school, and spend $5,000 on one of Dad's credit cards without permission. That was all fine. But I was expected to be better and not grieve. I was told I had stolen everyone else's time with Mom, that I was the reason Mom was dead. They said I ruined everything. So I moved out and stayed away, and then Dad met someone else and married her, and then I was getting crap for not meeting our new mom. My siblings were calling him Mom from the jump, and everyone slotted her into their life where Mom left. I was called selfish for not doing the same. They said I was ruining the family and the family vibe. That new mom was feeling hurt that her oldest son wouldn't even meet her. I was told over and over how amazing she was and how she took care of them so good and did everything for them. After more than a year of that, I lost it, and I told them if their selfish butts wanted to replace Mom so they could be taken care of, then go ahead, but I never would. And I said I hoped they didn't live to regret acting like Mom was so easy to replace, because that was exactly what they did. They replaced her. They acted like she wasn't important after all the crap they gave her, and then me. Then I went no contact. It's been over a year now since that. They were trying to get in touch, but couldn't and didn't believe me when I told them I was done. But after a while they wondered why they couldn't reach me, so they had my uncle ask, and I confirmed I was no contact. He was shocked. He asked me why, and I told him I was working on myself and wanted nothing to do with them after everything. Then he said I should cut them some slack, and I told him no, because they cut me none, and they were awful. That the new mom stuff was it, and I was done. He told them, and he shared how mad they are, and he shared how he felt I was being too harsh. I don't get why I have to be the one to accept all that crap and why I need to be Mr. Perfect. That maybe I am an a-hole. He also brought up when I accused them of replacing Mom, and he said that was going too far. So am I the a-hole for everything? F all of them and F your uncle too. I'm sorry, Opie. Opie replies, thank you. I miss my mom so much. And now knowing my uncle can't be trusted is rough. He was the last one I talked to. Not the a-hole. F all of them. Uncle should be next on the no contact list if he keeps putting pressure on you. I hope you're in therapy. This is a huge thing to process on your own. Opie replies, I started therapy in the last year. I had been trying to find a therapist for a few months before that. It's rough, and I'm still not through the hardest parts yet. But it's helping. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to find a way to live with my dad's girlfriend's daughter? My dad's girlfriend is Jenny, and she has a daughter, Ruby, who's the same age as me, 17M. Me and Ruby met when we were 11. She had just moved here and was a transfer student at school. At first, we didn't really interact, and she made friends with some other kids. But then when we did virtual school, she would DM me during classes and ask me if I liked this friend of hers, and she did it so much that I asked her why the hell she kept asking when I said no. And I reported it to our teacher and got her into trouble, which pissed her off. Ruby went back to school in person before me and bothered all my friends about me liking her friend. Then she tried to set 2 of them up with her friend. When I went back to school in person, she tried to kiss me one day out of nowhere, and I stopped her and was like, what the F are you doing? She really tried to make me accept that kiss, but I was taller and stronger than her, so I could keep her away from my mouth easier. After I wouldn't let her kiss me, she went to the principal and said one of my friends assaulted her friend, and she made this big deal out of her friend being afraid to report what happened. Her friend said it was all lies and nobody assaulted her, and Ruby got into huge trouble. That's when I came forward with her trying to kiss me, and it got her into more trouble. My dad knew about the thing with Ruby, and he had to meet with the principal about it. Me and Ruby ended up sharing a bunch of classes when we started high school, and she acted like we were exes or something. She went from obsessing over me liking her friend to trying to kiss me, and my friends were like, she probably likes you and wanted to make sure you didn't like the other girl. But everything about it was weird and gross. Like trying to get one of my friends in trouble and trying to make me kiss her. It was a few months after high school started that Dad told me he was dating Jenny, and I already had a big problem with him dating her because of Ruby. But I tried to let it go for my dad's sake. But then when he told me 2 months ago that he was going to ask Jenny to move in with him and that would include Ruby, I told him F no, and I packed a bunch of my stuff and went to my grandparents' house. Dad told me I couldn't just do that, and I said I would not live with Ruby. Jenny and Ruby moved in and Dad kept trying to make me come home. He said all 4 of us needed to sit down and find a way for me and Ruby to live together, but I said I won't. He asked me why and what will I do when we see each other at family functions, and I told her I'd avoid those functions, or if I was in charge of the guest list, I wouldn't invite her. I accused him of choosing Ruby over me. I know he chose his relationship with Jenny over me. But I was like, the fact you expect me to let her invade more of my life is sick, and I told him I was disappointed in the dad he was being. He told me I wasn't being fair, and since Mom died, Jenny is the only woman who has truly made him happy and showed him a future he wants. He said I could at least try to learn to live with Ruby for a while, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I told him I didn't want that girl anywhere near me. My dad has tried to convince my grandparents to send me back, but they don't want me there either. They told him they don't want to see a violent incident between me and Ruby and that it could easily happen with the history between us. Dad was like that wouldn't happen, and he said he wanted us all to try and make this work for his sake. Am I the a-hole? Real talk, and you need to say this to your dad. What happens when she claims sexual assault? What happens when she goes into your room at night, when you are sleeping and physically violates you? What happens when she starts hiding and taking compromising pictures of you? What happens when you have no safe place and no privacy from someone who is already unstable? She can destroy your life before it gets to really start, and your dad is okay with that. Opie replies, my dad thinks therapy fixed her, so those questions are wasted on him. We already fought about that stuff, and he's just so convinced she's changed. Not the a-hole if you two were alone and she tried something else and you said no, she could accuse you of rape, you are better off with your grandparents. They are the bosses for standing up to your dad. I'm glad they're in your corner. Opie replies, same. I legit don't know what I would have done if I had nobody to take me and fight for me. Right now I might be in jail or something, knowing how much of a disaster it would be for me and Ruby to live together. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.